Hola amigos y amigas! Welcome back to Mexico Relocation Guide and welcome to Oaxaca. You know, when I think of Mexico, all that comes to mind is colorful dresses, flamboyant dances, delicious food, gorgeous landscapes, wonderful and friendly people, and beautiful celebrations. Well, get ready for the ultimate Mexican experience because Oaxaca not only blends perfectly all these and a lot of other aspects of the true essence of Mexican life and culture, but excels in every single one of them. Is one of the most culturally rich cities in Mexico. The preservation and resilience of the indigenous community and its traditions have found a way to coexist with the colonial heritage and the modernity of Mexican life. And now, the recent arrival of a lot of foreigners has shaped this place as an international, multicultural, and cosmopolitan place. Oaxaca is truly unique. I'm so excited to show you this place, so let's jump right in. Oaxaca de Juarez is the official name of the city, and it's the capital state of Oaxaca, one of the richest regions of Mexico in both natural resources and culture. The city has a fascinating history that dates back thousands of years. The area was originally inhabited by several indigenous groups like the Zapotecos and the Mixtecos, amongst many others. Yet we could see that these two had the most power in the area, built sophisticated civilizations and left behind impressive archaeological sites such as Monte Alban and Mitla. In the 14th century, the area was conquered by the Aztecs, who established a military in the region and gave it the name of Oaxaca, a Nahuatl word that would eventually form into what we know today as Oaxaca. Following the Spanish conquest of Mexico in the 16th century, the city was founded by Spanish colonizers in 1532 under the name of Ciudad de Antequera. And this quickly became an important center of colonial administration and culture. During the colonial period, Oaxaca became known for its impressive colonial architecture, including numerous churches, monasteries, and public buildings. The city also played an important role in Mexico's struggle for independence from Spain in the early 19th century. Two of the most famous characters in Mexican history were born here. One of them is Benito Juarez and the other is Porfirio Diaz. Both remain the most famous presidents the country has ever had. In 1872, the city's name was changed to Oaxaca de Juarez to honor the state's most beloved son. In the late 19th and 20th centuries, the city underwent significant growth and modernization thanks to the construction of new public buildings and infrastructure like the railroad. Now, in recent years, there's been a process of urban expansion that is still ongoing. Today, the city is a vibrant cultural epicenter with a rich of indigenous heritage and colonial influences visible in its architecture, art, and food. Now, the average elevation of Oaxaca is somewhere around 5,100 feet above sea level. The city's high altitude contributes to its pleasant climate with mild temperatures and very low humidity throughout much of the year. To give you a better idea of what you can expect, the cold season registers an average high temperature in the mid-70s, that's Fahrenheit, and a low temperature around the mid-40s Fahrenheit. On the other hand, the warm season gives you somewhere in the highs of the 80s Fahrenheit, with the lows being in the mid-50s Fahrenheit. The rainy season in Oaxaca usually starts in late May or early June and goes all the way through October. And during this period, you can expect frequent rainfall, especially in the afternoons and evenings. Now beware that Oaxaca is located in an area of high seismic activity, and it is prone to earthquakes. The region is located on the Pacific Ring of Fire, which is a zone of frequent earthquake and volcanic activity. The state of Oaxaca has experienced several significant earthquakes throughout history, including a devastating earthquake in September of 2017. Now, the Mexican government has implemented strict building codes and earthquake-resistant design standards to help reduce the risk of damage and loss of life from earthquakes. In addition, there are very early warning systems in place that can provide alerts in the event of an earthquake, allowing residents to take appropriate safety measures. So if you ever feel like an earthquake is coming on, remember it's important to try and leave the building as soon as possible. Now, even though it may not be as large as other cities in Mexico, it does offer a unique blend of culture, food, arts, making it a vibrant and dynamic place to live. One of the things that makes Oaxaca unique is its strong connection to its indigenous roots. The state is home to numerous indigenous communities, many of whom maintain traditional customs, crafts, and language, and you'll see a lot of indigenous groups in the city selling their crafts and food. In recent years, the city has had an influx of tourists and immigrants from all over the world, which has diversified the population even more. This has started a rather fast and steady process of obviously increasing the cost of life, something that you'll find both praised and condemned within the native community. But in any case, Oaxaca's people, or Oaxaqueños in Spanish, never fail to make you feel welcome. You'll find a place with the doors open so you find a new thriving home. It won't be hard to connect with the locals, and you'll also be able to find a growing and supportive foreign community. The strong presence and influence in the indigenous traditions with handcrafts and art has attracted a lot of national and international focus who come to learn the techniques and secrets of ancient crafts to incorporate them into their art. So you'll find a solid artistic and creative community here. There are numerous art galleries, museums, street art, expos, festivals, performances, art academies, and plenty of support from local institutions. If you love art, Oaxaca is the place for you. Now, once you're here, you will quickly notice that plenty of people speak another language besides Spanish, but it's not necessarily English. You'll hear dialects, usually Zapoteca, and words you may have never been taught in your Spanish books. In living here, you'll notice that most foreigners know at least some basic Spanish because living in Oaxaca really does require you to make the effort to learn Español, which is a perfect place for those who don't want to live surrounded by other English speakers and want to immerse themselves in true Mexican culture. There are English speakers in Oaxaca, don't get me wrong, and it is possible to navigate the city without being fluent in Español. However, learning Spanish will exponentially enhance the experience, and it will come more than in handy when you're doing your day-to-day things. The metropolitan area of Oaxaca is home to a growing population with an estimated 820,000 people living in the region as of 2020. The majority of the population is concentrated in the capital, which counts 271,000 people according to the same study. Most people who are coming searching for a home in Oaxaca do it in the capital since it's the best connected city and the epicenter of all economic, cultural, and social activity. According to our own observations, I would say that the most desired area to live in Oaxaca is definitely the centro, or downtown, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and the surrounding neighborhoods of Jalatlalco, Xochimilco, and Reforma. The most obvious perk of living in any of these neighborhoods is the location. You will be at the very center of the city, with all types of amenities and services within walking distance. And even when going longer distances, access to public transportation will be far easier than any other area in the city. Now, besides its location, there are other reasons why people feel attracted to these neighborhoods. And once you're here, you'll understand why. They have a charm like no other city in the world. Their cobblestone streets, and the beautiful display of architecture from Baroque churches and convents to neoclassical manors and public buildings. Now, giving an estimated average of rent cost is always tricky, since there are many factors to consider such as space, amenities, location, whether it's furnished or not, and all these little things can add up to the price. Now, I'm going to do my very best to give you a nice idea of what you can expect in each neighborhood. But be ready to find different options and results once you arrive in Oaxaca. Now we're going to start with Centro, and it's one of the most beautiful places in Mexico. There's so much going on. Colors, flavors, scents, dances, music, happy faces. It feels inviting. It's really, truly one of a kind. Now here you can find mostly studios and apartments. Finding houses is tricky as most of these buildings date back centuries. They are constantly maintained and remodeled, and over the years, many of these old big houses were turned into commercial plazas or split into apartments. Rentals in Centro can be found for as little as 8,000 pesos for an unfurnished studio and can go up to 20,000 pesos a month for an upscale 2-bedroom, two-bath furnished apartment with utilities included. Now, sure, you are going to be able to find more affordable apartments in Oaxaca Centro than the numbers that I just quoted. However, I'm giving you some true examples of what I was able to find online through Facebook Marketplace or through some other sites. A lot of rentals in Mexico, you have to remember, are not published online. And if you're looking for the best prices, many of them will be found by either word of mouth or by spending some time in one of these neighborhoods and looking for signs that say, se renta. The next neighborhood I want you to look at is Jalatlaco. This neighborhood is a relic of time. It was founded by the Aztecs even before colonial times, towards the end of the 15th century. It was recently named Barrio Mágico, or Magic Neighborhood, a new federal tourism program similar to the Pueblo Mágico program, but to a minor scale since this is granted to neighborhoods with a rich history, culture, and food offering. You'll still have numerous stores, restaurants, bars, markets, coffee shops, and all sorts of shopping around. But since you're already outside the limits of the historic centro, you'll find this neighborhood to have a much quieter and more peaceful vibe. The architecture is also old-fashioned, mostly neoclassical buildings. Lots of them are updated to host stores, restaurants, and hotels, and many of them have remained houses and apartments. The prices are similar to the ones in Centro. For example, you'll find places starting at 18,000 pesos a month for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath house or apartment with excellent amenities and utilities included. Now, if you don't need that much space, there are also 1-bedroom apartments starting at 10,000 pesos a month. The next neighborhood we're going to look at is Xochimilco, and Xochimilco was a settlement founded back when the Aztecs conquered this area in 1486. Here, you'll also find a lot of cobblestone streets, very cute little coffee shops, libraries, boutiques, and restaurants. Now, regarding housing, you'll also find mostly apartments for the same reason as Jalatlaco and Centro, only that in Xochimilco, prices go down quite a bit. Here, it's easier to find a nice 1-bedroom apartment for around 8,000 pesos and really nice 2-bedroom apartments going for 13,000 pesos. The neighborhood is still quiet and more down to earth regarding the overall vibe and prices. It's not very touristy, not only on rent, but also around stores and restaurants. And then last but not least, you have Colonia Reforma, a more contemporary neighborhood that was built around the 50s. This is a family-oriented neighborhood with gorgeous homes. There are also numerous shopping areas, restaurants, and even parks. You'll also see a lot of clinics and medical centers here since it's home to the medicine faculty of the University of Oaxaca. Rents are lowered compared to the neighboring neighborhoods that we talked about, and you're only 10 minutes away from Centro. It would be easy to find a 1-bedroom apartment for 7,000 pesos or even a 2-bedroom, 2-bath furnished apartment with really nice amenities for something like 14,000 pesos. It'll be easier to find a house with 3 or more bedrooms, so if you have a family or need more space, they might even have a garage and a backyard and a nice quiet street. Prices for something like this can start at 20,000 pesos a month, and depending on size or amenities can go up from there. Now, before we get further into the video, I know what some of you will immediately say. I pay half of that wherever I live in rural USA or somewhere else. And while yes, surely you can spend less money in many places north of the border, when it comes to housing, you really have to ask yourself, am I living in the same level of city than the one I'm comparing to? Besides, rental prices in Mexico are only part of the entire picture. There are other things you have to consider, such as utility cost, healthcare cost, food and groceries, services, all these things add up. And overall, most people still experience a much lower cost of living anywhere in Mexico while increasing their quality of life. Now, because Oaxaca has really nice weather, it sometimes can get a little hot, but nothing a fan can't solve. In other words, I would say that air conditioning is absolutely not necessary. So your electricity bill probably won't be that high. You get your electricity bill every 2 months, and you can expect to pay anywhere between 200 to 400 pesos for a 2-month billing period for a household of 2 people. Water is provided by a government agency called SAPAO. We didn't hear of any shortages, so it's fair to say that the vital liquid is well available all year long. The cost should be estimated at 300 pesos per month for a 2-person household. Now, gas needs to be ordered from an external private company of your choice. An estimated cost would be somewhere around 600 to 700 pesos for a 30-liter tank. Now, this amount should get you through at least 1.5 months depending on how much you cook, the size of your household, and some other things. Now, this is the capital, so it won't be a problem to find good internet, especially in the neighborhoods that I just mentioned. The main providers are Telmex, Izzy, and Total Play. You also have Mega Cable and some other smaller companies. These companies offer fiber optic, and you can get as good as 1 gigabyte of speed internet. Or you can look into satellite internet with something like Starlink, which also provides fast and reliable internet. The cost for a basic internet service would be around 400 pesos. For a faster service, you can expect to pay somewhere between 1,500 to 1,800 pesos for the fastest service. So, as with any other city in Mexico, one of your biggest expenses will be rent. If you buy a house, then obviously you're not going to have rent to worry about or to consider in the breakdown of your cost. You will consider things like property taxes, which is also known as a predial. And the predial in Mexico is very low. And even though the prices seem to be rising with Mexican standards, they remain very, very much more affordable if you compare it to the average of most cities in the United States or Canada. So far, Oaxaca seems like an easy choice, right? But we're not over yet. Stick around to see what else this incredible city includes. So, where are you watching us from? I'd love to know in the comments below. And don't forget to give this video a like if you're loving this overview of Oaxaca. Remember that it helps us stay relevant according to YouTube, and you'll help someone else see our videos through YouTube recommendations. Also, I highly recommend that you visit Mexico Relocation Guide and subscribe to my free Living in Mexico email series, where I give you all kinds of insider tips on moving to Mexico the right way. We have helped thousands of people move to Mexico and saved them headaches and surprises through our many videos, rental examples, resources, and so many more. The links are in the description of this video. Okay, now let's get into shopping options. If you are a lover of unique things, the best option by far is to go to the local markets. I mean, seriously, you can't go wrong with buying local here. I mentioned that Oaxaca is one of the richest states in Mexico regarding natural resources and culture, and you can observe this in its local markets, from all the flavors that its delicious food offers to the art of handcrafting everyday items. Going to one of the several markets in the city will be the best decision if there's anything you need. The most famous markets in Oaxaca are Mercado 20 de Noviembre and Mercado Benito Juarez. Both are over 100 years old, and you can find them right in front of each other, just a few blocks off the main square. Both are iconic of the city. The 20 of November market is a food market. Right away, you'll see a lot of food stands selling local delights like tlayudas, tamales, mole, sopa de guías, pan de cazón, and also traditional drinks like tejate or mezcal. However, you won't find a lot of fresh ingredients here. You come to eat here. If you want to get fresh ingredients like fruits, vegetables, dairy, meat, seeds, cleaning products, household goods, kitchenware, and everything in between, you should go to the Benito Juarez market, just across the street. There's all kinds of food inside this market as well, but you get all kinds of fresh ingredients. These aren't the only two markets in Oaxaca. Remember that this is a city deeply connected to its indigenous roots and colonial heritage, so the local markets have been present throughout the greater part of the area's history. Now, outside downtown, you have La Central de Abastos, which is a famous bulk market, as well as numerous street markets called tianguis, which are spread all around the city. In other words, finding where to do your shopping won't be a problem at all, regardless of what neighborhood you live in. On the contrary, you'll have so many options, you might not know where to go. Oaxaca excels in the quality of its agriculture. You'll find fruits and veggies as fresh as it gets. Meats and cheese, top-notch. Actually, Oaxaca is one of the main producers of cheese in Mexico, and its signature cheese named quesillo, or queso Oaxaca, by foreigners, was declared one of the best cheeses in the world. Their bakery is also out of this world. Each region of Oaxaca has its own recipe, so you'll always find new flavors of breads and all kinds of baked goods. The same applies to everything else besides food. You'll find clothing, houseware, kitchenware decorations, furniture, and all you could possibly need to dress yourself or your house. And also, by supporting local producers and keeping the cash flow within local businesses and vendors, you actively contribute to the progress of the local community. As much as I love these local markets, there are definitely going to be things that you simply won't find here, especially if you're looking for either imported, international products or household goods that you can't find at these local markets. For this kind of stuff, you have your usual Mexican supermarkets like Chedraui, Soriana, Bodega Herrera, and Pitico. You also have Walmart, Sam's, Home Depot, Office Depot, and big box supermarkets that are convenient if you're looking for products from back home. In any of these supermarkets, you can also get some things like stoves, washer dryers, and those kinds of home appliances. For these, you should go to department stores like Electra, Coppel, or Liverpool. If you want to get something a little bit different, or if you're looking for a big mall where you can find everything in one place as well as a lot of international brands, then you have a couple of malls available to you. In the Reforma neighborhood, you have two. One of them is Plaza Parque and Plaza Mazarí. Then to the south of the city, you have Plaza del Valle and Plaza Oaxaca. To the east, you have Macro Plaza Oaxaca. To the west, you have Plaza Bella. So you see, there's a lot of shopping available in Oaxaca. Many local pharmacies offer private consultations if you're looking for medical services that are minor. Now, these usually cost 60 pesos for some very minor things like getting skin issues checked up, minor stomach bugs, things like that. It's as easy as walking down your nearest similar pharmacy and asking for the doctor, and these consults are great for minor issues. There are also several public hospitals and clinics that provide free or low-cost medical care to residents, like the famous IMSS, which is the institution that provides social health care in Mexico. Now, once you become a resident, you can apply to get social health care in Mexico. They'll require mostly paperwork and an annual fee, or you can sometimes seek out their services and pay fully out of pocket if you don't wish to enroll. But this varies by IMSS hospital and by city. In addition, there are several private hospitals and clinics in the city that offer a range of medical services, from routine checkups, lab work, to emergencies and specialized treatments. You can find several private clinics and hospitals in the Reforma neighborhood as well as in Centro. I always try to give you some healthy advice too, so try to keep yourself active and in good condition. It's as easy as taking a walk in the evening because the city is filled with parks where you can go have a nice workout. Remember, a walk a day keeps the doctor away. For getting around the city, let's go over the main options. Despite being the capital of the state, Oaxaca is relatively small. And all the neighborhoods are really well designed so you can walk to almost everything you need, or you don't have to travel far enough to get things done. We always recommend getting around by walking as much as possible. Walking is great exercise, and it's also a great way to get familiar with your neighborhood. But sometimes you just need a little help to get from point A to point B, so taxis are widely available and can just be hailed on the street. Or you can also get around with share apps like Didi and Uber. They are super inexpensive compared to taxis in other cities in Mexico. There are also several types of public transportation in the city, including buses and colectivos, or what are known as like shared taxis. These can be a convenient way to travel long distances within the city and to nearby towns. The cost is generally very inexpensive. For example, a bus ride could cost you 7 pesos, while a colectivo can cost you anywhere between 10 and 20 pesos, depending on which town you're going to. To get out of the city and make a road trip to a neighboring state or go further distances, and you have several options. For a very budget-friendly ride, you can offer small private transport companies. They normally offer low-cost van rides to towns within the state. For example, to travel from Oaxaca to the coast, you will pay around 300 pesos for a one-way ticket. Now, if you are more into comfort than saving a few dollars, then you can head to the ADO terminal. which offers luxury bus rides to any major city in central and southeast Mexico. The cost is very inexpensive. For instance, the bus ride to Mexico City is 700 pesos. But if you're planning to go out of the country or don't do well on road trips, then the airport is only a 30-minute drive from the city centro. It's an international airport that has flights to the US, Canada, and Europe, as well as other parts of Mexico. What are you going to do with your free time? Well, one of the best features of this magnificent city is that it doesn't matter whether you're an early bird or a night owl. You'll find lots of ways to have fun here. There's a reason why so many people love Oaxaca, why there's been a recent boom in tourism and immigration to the city, and why it attracts so many artists and creative minds. This city, and the whole state for that matter, is home to countless natural wonders and beauties, to an unmeasurable wealth of diversity, history, traditions, and cultures. Now, starting with something as simple as walking around downtown, you'll have a blast. Remember, this is not any downtown. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. But if the title doesn't impress you, its streets surely will. What you'll see is a statement of the mixing of cultures, or mestizaje in Spanish. You have all these churches, temples, convents representing the Spanish colonial heritage. Back in colonial times, the city was nicknamed La Verde Antequera, or the Green Antique. You'll see this feature in the majority of buildings and pavements with the historic downtown. And other notable buildings or museums that you can check out are the Museum of Oaxacan Painters, the Textile Museum of Oaxaca, the Museum of Contemporary Art, the Ethno-Botanical Garden, the Museum Casa de Juarez, and so many more. It's not only museums that downtown offers. There are lots and lots of art galleries, clothing boutiques, workshops, theaters, restaurants. There's so many things to do. So if you're into history, art expos, performances, or you want to learn a craft yourself, then you'll be in the right place. And believe me when I say that people from Oaxaca have an insane amount of talent when it comes to arts, handcrafts, and in cooking. Now, I hope you're not hungry, because when you talk about Oaxaca, you need to think about its food. Oaxaca's historic downtown is not only a UNESCO World Heritage, its cuisine was declared in 2008 a Cultural World Heritage to Humanity by the same institution. So when I say the city is perfect for foodies, it's because we mean it. To understand better, first you need to know that Oaxaca is divided into 8 regions. And each region has a different set of cultural features that identifies each one of them. Many of these differences manifest in their food. A few of the most representative dishes of Oaxaca's gastronomy would be, for example, mole, which is a mix of several spices that will form a kind of thick gravy that is unique to the world. Tlayudas, which is a variation of a tortilla. Here they spread beans on the tlayuda, they add some greens like lettuce and avocado, the iconic quesillo, and you can choose to add some kind of protein. Usually tasajo, which is beef, chorizo, which is pork, or chicken breast. You also have sopa de guías, coloradillo, all sorts of tamales you can imagine, pozole, chapulines, cacao, buñuelos, and I can go on. And as I said, these are just a few of the most iconic dishes in Oaxaca. Depending on the region, you are going to be eating a whole new set of flavors, and cooking techniques are probably what you're going to be experiencing. People from the coast eat entirely different than people from the mountain. Add to that the number of natural resources like fertile land, diversity of species, and the possibility of experimenting with food is infinite. These local delights are virtually found anywhere you go. It will be a matter of trying different seasonings and cooking styles, but I assure you it's almost impossible to come across bad food in Oaxaca. Whenever you feel like a change of scenery, you're only a few hours away from some incredible locations. First, you'll need a vehicle whether you choose to rent a car, hire a driver, or contact a tour agency. It'll be necessary to reach any of these landmarks and points of interest, usually by car. Now, if you're curious to know how it all started and how great the Zapoteca civilization was at its peak, you must go to Monte Alban. This is an archaeological site that dates back to 500 BC, and it was a political and religious center of the Zapotecos. And if you're up to it, it's about a 25-minute drive from Centro. You definitely won't regret it. Besides Monte Alban, there are plenty of archaeological sites that are worth a visit, like Mitla, which was also an important Zapoteca settlement. There is one in Atzompa, a little town about 20 minutes away from Oaxaca. Then the Dainzu site, which is 30 minutes east of downtown, one in Sachila, towards the south, and many more. You can try to tour all of them for months and you wouldn't see the end of it. Now, remember I said that Oaxaca is divided into 8 regions? These are Los Valles Centrales, la Sierra Juarez, la Cañada, Tuxtepec, la Mixteca, la Costa, la Sierra Sur, and the Istmo de Tehuantepec. So if you feel like a forest getaway, go to the mountain, relax for a couple of days, get some cold weather for a change, drink hot chocolate, and stay in a nice wooden cabin. It's only 3 hours away. Now, if you want to go to the beach, you got it. Drive south all the way to the most beautiful beaches in the world. These include Zipolite, Mazunte, Puerto Escondido, and Huatulco, just to name a few. Now, in all of these regions, you can find several towns and villages that showcase a unique set of traditions. If you're curious enough to explore beyond the biggest settlements and touristic places, just be mindful that while the native community will always be welcoming, they are very proud of their roots. And rightfully so. Many of these towns are self-governed, and their way to administrate and rule the town is by their customs and traditions. So is the case in, for example, Hierve el Agua, a now very famous touristic destination. But it can be closed to the public without previous notice if the townspeople decided that way. If you visit any of these self-governed villages, try to go with someone that is familiar with the culture and who can also translate. And understand that even if some of the rules don't make sense to you, it's better to respect them while you're in their town. If you're anything like me, you like to have some fun after sun goes down from time to time, then you'll love Oaxaca. By now you can easily guess which area is where most restaurants, coffee shops, bars, cantinas, mezcalerias are in the city. Centro remains alive at night thanks to its eclectic and vibrant variety of activities. You'll find all kinds of experiences for all types of budgets. You can have a chill evening sipping a cup of hot chocolate in one of the many bakeries in town. You can go to a wine bar or on a date with friends. Or you can try one of the many mezcalerias. After all, you're in the world capital of mezcal. Mezcal is an original ancestral Mexican drink. It's produced in other states. However, Oaxaca is a #1 producer and exporter of this liquor in Mexico. In the capital, you'll find countless mezcalerias, where you can taste the different types of agaves, which is a plant that works as a main ingredient. You can also visit the factories if you're up to it, where they'll explain the process, you'll get a tasting, and most likely you'll get a much better price on bottles. There are also many arts and cultural festivals throughout the year. The most iconic one is the Guelaguetza, celebrated every June and is Oaxaca's most treasured cultural festival. It consists of a display of dances, food from each one of the 8 regions of Oaxaca. It's a very colorful and delicious spectacle, and people from all over the world travel for it. Man, that's something, huh? They say you are what you eat, and it seems it's the case for Oaxaca. There's so much spice in it. Same as with mole. It's a unique blend of cultures, traditions, crafts, costumes, dances, flavors, scents, colors, climates, landscapes, biodiversity, human diversity, pre-Hispanic heritage, colonial heritage, languages, skins, but above it all, I would say the main ingredient is always love. Los Oaxaqueños are people with much love for their land, their roots, their culture, their food, their history, their integrity as a society, and their everlasting resilience. And they welcome everyone with that same love. These are people who will always give you a hand, and you'll always have a seat at their table. They'll make you feel this way. Only thing they ask in return is that you respect their love for their cultural identity, and that if in your power, you help them preserve what's left of their traditions. So I hope that this video gives you a better perspective of what an enigmatic entity Oaxaca is. I fell short. It's truly such an amazing place with so much to offer. It's hard to explain it all in a short video. But I hope that you do get to decide to come to this place. You truly appreciate the beautiful energy that flows around it, and that you help such a wonderful, multicultural community to grow healthy without boundaries. And I hope that it's a place that you'll consider moving to in Mexico. So that's it for today, amigos. I hope you liked this video. If you're interested in a private relocation tour of Oaxaca, keep in mind we have some excellent recommendations. So look at the comment section for a link to our private relocation tours across Mexico. And hey, if you like this video, I said it's going to be one of our best chapters, but let me know what you think. I think we got it. I would like to read your feedback on this and all my other videos. So go subscribe to the channel before you leave. Either which way, we'll see you very soon on our very next video. This is not goodbye. This is Justin. Hasta luego. Nos vemos.